Everything we've talked about in this course up to this point has been you trying to figure out a way so that you can survive in real estate. For the rest of the time we're together, let's forget about survival and let's start talking about thriving in real estate. What can I do that's going to get me to the place that I want to be in this business? Rule number 1, you want as many sellers as you possibly can get. You want to discover some marketing system in which sellers would be willing to list with you. You see, when you ask a seller someday, why did you list with me? The response you're going to hear is, well, we drove through the neighborhood and we saw more of your signs than anybody else's, so we decided to list with you. Now, don't respond back to them, well, the reason I have so many signs out there is none of my stuff ever sells. That won't help you at all. Ask a buyer someday, how did you decide to work with me? Their response will be, don't you remember? We came into your office, we looked at your listing, we didn't like your listing, but we liked you and we stayed with you until we finally bought a property. Having those signs out in the yards with your writer sign on the top or on the bottom, asking specifically for them to call you, is going to be a phenomenal thing that'll make a big difference in your business. Somebody probably hasn't given you the goal, so let me give you the goal right now. Find a marketing system that you can get 2 listings a week. If you can get 2 listings a week, your inventory is going to be larger than most of the other agents around you. In many cases, by obtaining that many listings, you will receive 1 contract a week. And if you sell 1 property a week, you're light years ahead of most of the people that are already in real estate. And it all starts by getting listings. At one time, as I was working as a salesperson, I had 53 houses listed. Other agents from other offices would come in and sit across my desk. They would whine and say, there's no inventory, there's nothing to sell. I would say, yeah, it's just awful. By the time that meeting was over with, they would ask for me to set up an appointment to show one of my listings. And I would be happy to do that. You see, I had the inventory. In order for them to make money, they had to help me make money. So in this business, you always focus on getting listings. Think of this business you're in as 3 different phases. The first phase is you marketing yourself so that you can get listings. The second phase is you marketing your listings so you can have buyers and sellers come find you. And the third phase starts after you get the property under contract. And that's where you become a problem solver. Every problem that the surveyor, the appraiser, the title company, the termite inspector, the home inspector, or anybody else brings up, you solve that problem so that you can get this transaction all the way to the closing. If you pay attention to all 3 of those phases, you'll become a more successful real estate agent. If you ignore any of those phases, you're going to drop out of real estate and find something new to do. And I don't recommend that. This business that you're in is a fun business, and it is something that you can enjoy, but you need to focus on those 3 phases. Market your listings so that you can find somebody that you can sell that property to, or another seller that would list with you. But how are you going to get those listings? You're going to have to market yourself so the listings will come to you. And then thirdly, become a problem solver to solve all that. There are many marketing systems out there. Your broker has already trained you on a system that worked for your broker. It may not work for you. Part of that may be because the world has changed since your broker was a salesperson. The fella that trained me in real estate said, okay, here's what you do. You go walking door to door and you knock on doors and ask people if they have any real estate needs. That was a colossal waste of time. 2 of the doors that I knocked on, when the people answered the doors, they were standing there with guns in their hands. It didn't take me long to go find another door to knock on, and I never got 1 listing out of that procedure. The next thing he did is he said, go through all of our old files and contact every one of those people that have bought in the past and see if they'd list with you. In many cases, when I contacted those people, they had already listed it with another company and sold it, and that wasn't even the same person that was still in the property. And then when I went back and said that didn't work, what else? He gave me the worst piece of advice I've ever received. He says, you go to a gas station, you put $1 of gas in the car. You go inside the gas station and you say to the person there, I was in here the other day, somebody mentioned they had a real estate need, but I've already forgotten what it was. Do you know anybody that needs to buy or sell real estate? I didn't even try that one. That one didn't work for me at all. His last piece of advice was about holding an open house. He says, hold an open house. You'll find some buyers and you can make something happen. He says, in fact, do it on my listing. I have a new house that is just being finished. Hold an open house there. I went out to that property. I put up my flags. I put up my signs. I put an ad in the paper. And on a Sunday afternoon, I had a 2-hour open house. It truly was an open house. The doors and windows had not been installed yet. It had to be the coldest, windiest day I've ever experienced in my entire life. I spent the whole 2 hours huddled in a corner trying to block the wind off. My wife was the only person that showed up. She brought me some hot chocolate halfway through the open house. Oh, I haven't held too many open houses since that one. I've decided that's one of those things that doesn't work for me. Continue to read. Continue watching the internet. Continue to read the different publications that come out for real estate agents. Continue to attend seminars. Continue to do whatever you can until you finally find the system that works for you, the thing that will help you so that you can market yourself to get sellers to come list with you. If you can do that simple little thing right there, you're going to be getting that inventory of listings. Now, if you only have one listing and you're asking more than $1 million for it, I would recommend you go ahead and go out and get some other listings, because $1 million property is going to sit on the market longer than anything else. I don't know how it is in your area, but in my area, houses are currently staying on the market for an average of 8.5 months. Now, you may get lucky and sell it in 1 week, but it may stay on the market even longer than the 8.5 months. The high-end properties are the ones that are staying on longer anyway. I don't take 6-month listings anymore. I ask for 1-year listings. Some of those sellers say to me, I'm not going to give you a 1-year listing. With one guy, I said, why not? He says, because you'll sit on it for 8 months and try to sell it for the last 4. I jokingly said to him, sir, while I'm here at your house trying to list your property, my wife is out there with a credit card and she knows how to use it. I needed to sell your house yesterday just in hopes of breaking even. If you're not willing to give me a year, what are you willing to give me? He said 6 months. I said, okay, I can do 6 months if I have to. See, I live by a simple philosophy. Ask for what you'd like to have, back off if you need to. Right now, I'm convinced in our area 6 months is not enough. And some of those sellers will not extend with me when this 6 months is over with. They'll give the listing to somebody else. And I've wasted precious advertising dollars and gasoline and time going over and showing that property just because it was not one that was that desirable. If you want to be successful, you build up an inventory of listings, but let's do the second phase of that. Let's make sure they're priced accurately. Learn how to do a market analysis as effectively as you possibly can. Learn how to sit down in front of a seller and give him that market analysis and convince him that this is the price that property will sell for. There are going to be some of those sellers out there. They are not going to come down to your price no matter how much you want them to. I went into one neighborhood. I had a listing appointment with this man. I laid my market analysis out in front of him. I gave a great presentation. And he looked at it and he says, my house is better than all 5 of those houses. I said, how do you figure that? He says, I have the greenest grass in the neighborhood. I thought I'd gotten caught up in an episode of King of the Hill. Because on that show, all those guys do is stand on the curb, drink their beer, and talk about how green their grass is. I said, okay, you have green grass. What else? He says, you see that sliding glass door to the backyard? I said, yes, sir. He says, you see that screen on that door? I said, yes, sir. He says, that's a brand new screen on that door. I said, okay, that's $30. What else? He and I could never come to an agreement on the right price. I decided to go to Plan B. Plan B for me is where I explain to this owner, I have a specialist back at my office that handles your kind of property. I'm going to have them give you a call and come out and talk to you about marketing the property. I went back to the office and I found the new kid in the office and I said, have I got an opportunity for you? And I had them call and set up an appointment to take the listing. Poor kid took the listing. took it too high. We didn't have many showings and we didn't have any offers. And when the listing expired, the seller wouldn't extend it with us. And he wound up giving the listing to somebody else. And finally, he was ready to adjust the price in a market area where it would absolutely sell. Now, what we have done so far is we have realized it's time to thrive. You need to reach out. You need to realize where you want to be. Don't be happy with where you are now. You want to go to the next level. Now, there's going to be a fella that's going to be advertising you on the internet, and he's going to come generally to your area, and he's going to want to give you a seminar, and he advertises himself that he sold 365 houses in 1 year. In other words, one a day. You need to go hear what he says because he's got things that will help you. Now, you cannot possibly sell one house a day for a year in Texas in our current market, but he was in Phoenix. When everybody in the world discovered Phoenix and wanted to be there, it was a little easier to handle it in that market then than it would be now. You can't even accomplish that same amount of sales in 1 year in Phoenix in the current market that they're in at this point. But you need to listen to those people that have been top producers. You need to find out what they did to go to the next level. Sure, they're trying to sell you the books and tapes in the back of the room. In some cases, it's worth your while just to attend the seminar. They'll hand you something of value. And if not, then you might decide to buy the books or tapes so that you can gain even more information. We're coming to the end of this course. We've spent a lot of time talking about how to stay out of trouble and a short time on how to enhance the amount of business that you're doing. You need to know one more important thing before we close this out. In real estate, there is repeat business. When you help somebody buy a house, they will list it with you if they can find you. You need to put them on your personal marketing system, and they need to get something from you once in a while so that they know where you are. You may change offices several times, but if they can find you, they'll probably list with you. Every time you have an opportunity in a transaction, whether the buyer was your client or somebody else's client, put them on the marketing list. You see, that other agent that they used to help them buy the property, they may not be able to find them. Who else are they most likely to list with? The agent that was involved in the transaction and the agent that has continued to market themselves there. It won't be long before we'll have better access to the internet, better access to emails, and we'll do most of that marketing through the internet itself. Right now, most of that is done through the post office, but the cost is getting more expensive to do that, so you can shift over to emails as soon as possible and do your marketing through there. There are professional companies where you can outsource the marketing. I recommend you do it yourself. A professional company may send out something on your behalf. You may not even know it goes out. Somebody may call you and respond to it, and when you sound like you don't even know what they receive, that's not going to help you at all. So let's wind it up with these simple words. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Make sure that you take care of people and be honest and fair in what you're doing. When you're honest and fair, people can sense that. And when you're yourself, they can sense that as well. So just be the person that you've always wanted to be, and you'll have more transactions. You'll stay out of trouble, and you'll make more money in the process.